Alright, people, so John Cena is apparently getting shoulder surgery now. I heard about this, and this is just a result. I mean, all these injuries over the past, like 6 months that WWE has accumulated. I saw somebody posted an article on one of these wrestling websites. Every champion coming out of WrestleMania 31 is now injured. But what is the result? This is WWE's fault, and there's two main things, in my opinion, that WWE is at fault at here. The first one is live events. And I've been a big critic of live events over the past forever, pretty much. I mean, for a long-ass time. Because I think they're unnecessary. They waste money. Not necessarily waste money. Maybe they bring in some profits. But, I mean, it's not like live events are bringing in like 20,000 people to an event. I mean, a lot of these events, there's only a few thousand people there. You got to rent the venue. You got to fly in your everything for the night. The superstars take on wear and tear. I think it would be much better to just focus on a few, one or two events per week. Raw and maybe a SmackDown per week. But instead, they don't do that. Instead, they have all, like 3, 4, 5 events a week, which is, I think, ridiculous. It's just too fucking much for these superstars to handle. Only do 1 or 2 per week. All right. So and I've talked about that a lot, so I'm not going to get too in depth in there. And then the next one is putting old people. Not necessarily old people, but people who are not in their primes in the main events. Look at Cena. He's what, 38? That's not in his prime. He's past his prime. He's probably in the tail end of his career. Hopefully, in the tail end of his career. The prime of your career is it depends, I guess, for people, but it's not fucking 38. It's not your late 30s. That's not your fucking prime. When it comes to in-ring ability, at least, it's not. Maybe that they develop some character skills or whatever. But your in-ring ability, your prime, and when you're going to be most healthy is, 20s, early 30s, maybe mid-30s. But once you pass like 33, 34, 35, I mean, you see the injuries that start to accumulate. And that's why if you're WWE, you should start pushing younger talent and stop pushing the same guys who are now getting hurt a lot, because they've had a lot of wear and tear, and you failed to build new stars to replace them. Not saying that these older people should retire, but they should definitely take a lesser role, and the younger people who are actually not going to get injured should take a higher role. Therefore, if your older people get hurt, it doesn't hurt you as much since they're not in a pivotal role in your company. Common fucking sense. So you have Cena, who's been injured 3 times, he's gotten 3 surgeries, major injuries, in my opinion. In the past 3 years, he had the elbow thing with the fucking thing on it. He had a big fucking ball on his elbow. He had the arm thing, tricep. That's what it was. He had the tricep thing. He had the arm thing. I forget what the elbow or whatever. And then now he has this shoulder thing, and then he just decided to fucking sit out like 3 months too. So Cena's been out 4 times in the past 3 years. That's not what you want in your number one guy in the company. Orton's been injured a lot in the past few years. I mean, these guys are getting older. It's time to replace them with younger talent. And then if you don't fucking do these live events, the younger talent will not get hurt as much either, and also the older talent won't get hurt as much either. If you hadn't had live events, maybe Seth Rollins wouldn't be injured right now. Same thing with Cesaro. So, you got to push younger guys who aren't going to get hurt as much. I mean, injuries happen. You're most likely going to get injured during your career, and you're going to have to sit out a few months at some point. It's going to happen. But with older guys, it tends to happen a lot fucking more. So WWE just has to wake up, and they have to realize that these older guys, you don't want, you're in your main event, the Night of Champions, and the fucking contender for the championship collapses in the middle of the ring. That's what you get when you put old guys in the main event. doesn't, and I've been a critic of that. And I told you guys that shit's going to happen. I told you it's going to come back to bite them on the ass when they continually put 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, you know, in the main events. They got to push newer talent. You know, if you put a guy like Rollins, instead of having Cena at the face of the company, you put a guy like Rollins as the face of the company. Now, you don't have to worry. You know, you got a face of the company for the next 10 years. With Cena, you don't have that. You're not going to have Cena being the face of the company at age 48. That's just not going to happen. So, and if you look at a lot of the guys, you know, like Brock Lesnar, very young when he won the belt. A lot of guys were very young, in their 20s when they won the belt. Now we see people, because they don't find them, like your Kevin Owens, your CM Punks, your Daniel Bryans, they don't find them until they're like in their 30s. They've been wrestling in the independent scene for like 10 years. So that's another reason, too. They have to find these guys quicker. Pick up these independent people quicker. And I think they're finally doing that, where they're, you know, taking more of an interest in independent wrestling. But that's another problem, too. So they finally got, like, a Daniel Bryan, who's a great wrestler. But he's in his 30s. His career's winding down. And he gets injured. Neck injury. So there you go. So, you know, they got to push guys at a younger age, and they got to stop pushing guys like Cena and Orton, who are old, and they're not even that good anyway, especially Orton. So there you go, people. There's my thoughts on the Cena injury and how this is going to affect the future, you know, going forward here. Going forward from WrestleMania beyond. Who knows whether, you know, this is they're like, oh, you might miss WrestleMania. He's probably going to miss WrestleMania 32. You know, all these wrestling websites always say all these rumors. Who the fuck knows if they're true or not, so I'm not going to speculate on that. But at least for the short term, we're going to get a lot more Roman Reigns now. So that's great, you know, fuck. So, yeah, Roman Reigns will probably be more prominent, or as prominent as he's been the past month now. So that'll suck. So, yeah, we could look more forward to Roman Reigns, you know, going over everybody, beating up four guys at once and shit like that. So, yeah, I'd rather have Cena than Roman Reigns. I think Cena has more talent than Roman Reigns. I think quite a bit more talent, actually. So, you know, we'll probably see more Roman Reigns, and I won't be surprised if he wins the Rumble, too. I put it at a 50-50 chance of him winning. I can't see who else would win. But anyway, I'll talk about that in my Royal Rumble predictions when I do get there. But anyway, people, there's my thoughts there on the Superman, John Cena, getting hurt there. Apparently, he's not all Superman. So there you go, people. There's my thoughts.